4 chairs. Come right up. Yes, sir. Enjoy. No heckling, please. There will be an opportunity for questions for the crew, so but we'll do that at some point. So I'm going to turn it over to Dustin. Let's give a big hand for our hot stove tonight.
All right. Thank you very much. We appreciate it. We apologize if there's any mic issues. We fought with them for about an hour. But as long as everybody stays quiet, I think we'll be good. But first, we need a round of applause for Mark Conley. I had no idea he was an auctioneer that well. That was really good. Well done, Mark. That was outstanding. All right, so we got Georges Laraque. I'm 6'5", 280 pounds. I've never looked this small in my entire life. This is unbelievable sitting next to Big George. We got Sean Bell. We got Tom Gazzola down at the end. If you've not yet checked out Edmonton Sports Talk, check us out at edmontonsportstalk.com. We're streaming live 24/7 on TuneIn and on iHeart and on YouTube. We're streaming on YouTube right now. If you're watching on YouTube right now, you can hit us up in the chat. We'll get to some of those questions. If you have any questions out there, we can bring the mic around to you as well. I don't know what we're going to talk about tonight. What are you supposed to talk about in Edmonton sports right now?
Feelings.
Yeah, there's nothing going on right now, is there?
Yeah. There's nothing going on. I don't think, How about those Celtics?
Won.
Very impressive. I don't think anybody in this town, according to Twitter and being at the rink, is more excited than this guy right now. George, you've been absolutely lighting it up on social media. How excited are you to see what the Oilers are doing right now?
Well, it's just the way we turned things around after we won that game at home, and the fact that, we know how loud it's going to be Game 6. It's destiny, I think. In 2006, we didn't finish the job, but I think that this team will. Just the way that things have been going on right now, it's amazing.
Yeah, 100%. Bellsey, it's hard to argue with the destiny thing. I know everybody's like, well, is it really but it feels like that right now.
The way it's going, absolutely. I mean, first of all, knock on wood, because you never want to jinx that. But, looking back at my days, it was a decade of darkness, and then, that was following up George's time. But everything that they've done from the start of the season, the way they started out, the change of coach, build upon the season, winning streak after winning streak, this team looks like it is destiny, because they battled so much adversity, and here we are today. We're sitting here being, well, they're coming back to Edmonton, and it's going to be electric. George is going to lose his voice tomorrow on Friday.
Is that true? Probably.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, that's why we had to schedule this tonight, because he wouldn't be able to join us in 2 days. It'd be tough. Tom Gazzola down there, he does our Oilers pre- and post-game show on Edmonton Sports Talk, and our show called The Hangout every day from 9 to 11. So this guy's been on the roller coaster ride with the pre- and post-game this season, from the firing of Jay Woodcroft to what's happened with Chris Knobloch and the run that they're on, winning the last 2 games. It's been overwhelming support for us. It's been awesome to launch an online sports station this season. Couldn't ask for a better time to do it. But Tommy, what's it been like, the ups and downs of hosting a post-game show right now?
Well, I said this season was over on November 9th. I said they're done.
I was with him.
What a disappointment.
He bailed on the season November 9th.
They're done. They're terrible. They lost to San Jose 3-2, and God bless them. They turned it around. But this has been a crazy season. When Bellsey was with the team during the decade of darkness was when I started working at Oilers TV. And I was on those flights on the charter where it was just miserable. And all we would do is drink booze as the media contingent, because you knew that this team was hopeless. No offense, buddy.
What's changed?
No, nothing's changed. It's the same. But this has been unbelievable. Like, I thought I saw it all in 17 years covering this team. It started right after Georges and the Oilers went to the Cup final. I started covering them in 2007. And yeah, like the decade of darkness, the way the fans stuck with the team. Rexall was still pretty full. It was incredible, and we were thankful that we had the opportunity to have a job still, because people were still supporting a really bad hockey team. And then to see where it's gone after the McDavid, draft lottery, and the ups and downs, 2017, them being bad for 2 years after that, and then certainly being better the last 5 years. I know people have been ripping Kenny Holland for 5 years, but the damn guys only brought them to second place in the division 5 straight years, a conference final, a second round, and then now a Stanley Cup final, 2 wins away from a championship, first time in 34 years here. I think he's done okay. Call it a hunch, but I think some people have finally let off the gas pedal. It's been wild. You can't please all Oil fans, but you can please a lot of them if you go to a Stanley Cup final, and I think we're starting to see people realize that this team is really good.
Compared to the 06 team, George, it's a different build, right? It's a different team. They're hoping the result is a little bit different. But what are your thoughts on this team compared to that 2006 one that basically won the entire city over as well in a different way? I feel like.
Well, if you look at the team that we had, it was the first time that the owner spent money on a player, Chris Pronger, and we all saw what that did. And you look at now the team now; they have the two of the best center in the world. You know, with Connor and Leon, we didn't have that. In 06, we didn't have the talent the team has now, so you can't compare. We were playing in an era where when I started, there were 16 owners with the Oilers. Remember, it was crazy. Our salary cap, we started commercial flight. I was sitting in the middle of people. I had no room.
How's that possible?
No, because the way it worked is the veteran had all the tickets of all the players, so the rookies like me would get the middle seat in the back by the washroom. It was so bad. I hated it. So, but we had no money back then. We're the only team that were flying commercial when I started it. So today, now, they're all Kates. You guys are lucky to have an owner that doesn't want to make. You can make money if you want it with the team, but he lets the GM spend it all the way up to the cap.
Yeah.
That's the owner that decides that. He doesn't have to. So we're lucky to have an owner that'll spend all the money to have a winning team. And that's why this team is in the final. It starts with the owner. The owner will give free rein to the GM. They could put, the right players in place. And it's right what you said earlier about the GM. So many people criticize him and stuff, but it's so easy to say so after a move is done, And you can never predict how a guy is going to turn out.
Yeah, like no GM is ever going to get every move right. But when you deliver Zach Hyman and Matthias Ekholm, that's got them to where they're at right now, right? So if you're going to have some misses along the way, you got to hit big on the hits. And Bellsey, they 100% did that. Without Ekholm, I don't think they're still playing.
Well, that's an unbelievable trade that Holland makes for Ekholm. You bring him in, he's basically your de facto number one. And that allows guys to kind of move back. Darnell Nurse becomes your 3. Bouchard has had an unbelievable season because he's with Ekholm, who's stabilized his defensive game. And we all know what his offense is like. So you just put guys in the right spots, and it allows guys to flourish. And that's what you're seeing right now.
I want to bring up one thing. Bellsey, you were a first rounder. You're trying to crack NHL lineup as a first rounder. It took you some time. Why is Philip Broberg popping right now? Because that's been a pleasant surprise.
Well, Kenny Holland's MO is basically letting guys over-ripen. And I know it's one of those things where, here in the city of Edmonton, they had Hall and Eberle and Nugent Hopkins and Yakupov, and the list goes on. Puljujarvi recently, where it was like, we're going to insert these guys in the lineup right away. But if you just look at the Puljujarvi situation.
Careful with him. I still like him.
Oh, I know you do.
He's still my guy.
I'll be
careful
careful.
what you say.
I'm going to tread lightly here.
I screwed up on that one. That was tough.
He just flat out wasn't ready. And he could have went down to the HL. He could have allowed his game to flourish, got more confidence, but they kept pulling him back in the lineup. And then it was like, okay, well, what do you want me to do? So he's not scoring. He loses confidence. And what people don't remember is that this kid left Finland, didn't know a lick of English, had to move to Edmonton, and they're like, okay, go.
Yeah, there's not a lot of finish here.
There's not a lot of finish here, and there's lots of different situations. And from a guy that played in Europe going the other way, I understand his problems, his everything. Try to find a house. Who's going to help me find a house? I don't know any English, and so guys just weren't ready. And you can put him down in the farm, and you can allow him to develop slowly. And that's what you're seeing with Broberg right now. Is that he's had all sorts of time to just relax and play his game and log 25 to 30 minutes, and that all of a sudden your confidence does wonders for you. And so now you're here, you see him, and it's like, okay, well, perfect, he's popped.
Speaking of confidence, it's funny when the Oilers win a game, they win Game 4, they win Game 5, and players and general managers always say that confidence doesn't really carry, or momentum doesn't carry over from game to game. But Tommy, I think that's like the Oilers finding their confidence in Game 4. That carries over from game to game, right?
Absolutely. That's what I think. I mean, it's been interesting being in the locker room, talking to the players on game days, non-game days, whatever. We get a chance to get them away from the camera and the mics and just talk to them because there's so many different media that have come in, international, national. And so we're there every day, thick and thin. They're losing. We're there. We're bothering them. They're winning. We get a better sense of things. So we're always there, and you kind of build up a little bit of a rapport with them, which I always appreciate. And just taking them aside and being like, hey, what's going on? Do you guys really feel like Bobrovsky's figured you guys out or what? And everything I got from them was, no, we know what we're doing on him. We'll be fine. And when they went down 3-0, I'm like, oh, you guys are so full of crap. Like, I love the confidence, and I love what you guys have done as a team getting to the Stanley Cup final. And then sure enough, we're watching them absolutely destroy the Panthers in Game 4, and then Game 5, they did what they did last night. And I'm like, maybe I was wrong for misjudging them when they were telling me they felt everything was okay, still down 2-0 going into a game that they ended up going 3-zip.
But Tom, there's one thing we have to add, though. I'm sure a lot of people know that, but 90% of everything you hear from a player is not what he thinks. And that's actually a fact.
Come on.
And actually, it's a fact. When guys do interviews, they say the right things because they don't want to get in trouble. So they'll never say what they're thinking. But I could tell you, if you ask a question to a player, I could tell you what he thinks and what he'd like to say. And then what he's saying and stuff most of the time. We do articles with that and stuff, but it's not true. You know, guys are pissed off, and when they were losing, down 3-0, to a guy that had all the answers, Bobrovsky, that was supposed to win the Conn Smythe, guys were frustrated. And that's a fact, but they can't say that, right? So, and what changed the series is when they lit him up, Bobrovsky's never been the same since. And the series, he was going to win the Conn Smythe. And then now it turned around, and now he's not the same. That's why the series changed.
Yeah, like I think there was frustration for sure, but at the same time, if you watch Game 1 and 3 in particular, well, they missed all their chances. It wasn't like Bobrovsky saved every one of those shots. They missed wide open chances. Hyman in Game 1, he has that puck in the front of the net, and he tries to go high, backhand, and he misses the net. Like, that was a field goal.
But remember, when a goalie stops everything, you want to make the perfect shot.
100%.
And that's why you miss sometimes, because you think he's invincible. If you don't have a perfect shot, you won't take it.
Yep.
And now they don't look for the perfect shot anymore because they went through him.
Yeah,
look
and then
at Connor's goal last game.
They start to rush their shots. They start to miss because they're worried, but that they're going to get that Bobrovsky's going to get in the way. But the whole point of it was the fact that they were getting these chances. They were consistently in the right spots. They were getting grade A opportunities. And once again, it wasn't Bobrovsky was making great saves, but it wasn't all him. And so for them to go into it, they're like, okay, well, we've had opportunities. And you know what it's like in locker rooms. We've got opportunities. We watch film. Hey, we had a chance to score here. We had a chance to score here. Let's fix those problems and let's go into it. And then that's where that confidence for Tom was saying that this is how they feel about going in the game. So their frustration for sure, but they also knew that they could score on them.
All right, we got to talk about where they're at right now, coming back for Game 6. Tommy, I'll start with you down there. I mean, it sounds like a super duper Edmonton homer take, but I just don't know how they stop Connor McDavid right now. But what do you think?
I mean, back-to-back 4-point games. This is the first time it's ever been done in NHL history in a Stanley Cup final. That says something. He's creating his legacy right now. He's having his Gretzky 85 moment where Gretzky put up, 47 points. I'm thinking of Gretzky 88, the slap shot against Calgary, the perfect shot. Connor's created a few of those right now, and it's him just putting the team on his back. I know Leon's probably a bit banged up, and the other guys are following suit. Now you're getting stars like Connor Brown, who I equated to
the
Peter,
legend.
I called him Peter Klima Light earlier this year, and then upgraded him to Michael Pekka Light, and now I think he surpassed both of them in these playoffs, which is a great thing. So yeah, and McDavid's you called him the cheat code earlier today. They need the cheat code for the next couple of games, certainly on Friday night, and then they need some other guys to follow suit, which they've had, which has been excellent, and then some guys rising to the occasion that you didn't expect it. It's crazy how stuff like this, it's like aligning. George, in 06, you guys had some moments like that, and it feels like some of that's happening again, and obviously people around here want to see a different result if there's a Game 7.
When you look at this right now, and I'll just throw it to you two guys because you played, when Connor Brown does what he did, and Matthias Janmark do what they do the last couple of games, what's that do for the team that usually, McDavid's spectacular, Draisaitl's spectacular, but then Matthias Janmark and Connor Brown go out and I don't want to say basically win you a game, but they've been their second best line for the last 2 games. What's that do for the rest of the group?
Well, 2 games in a row scoring a shorthanded goal kills another team. To do that in Florida, shut out the crowd like this, that was the game right there. That was such an important goal. And it's funny because I remember Connor Brown, the fan cheered him when he scored his first goal. Yeah. And you were like wondering.
It was like a standing ovation.
Yeah. And they asked him the question after the game, he was embarrassed. But in the playoff, he made this, special unit team so good. He's unbelievable, like the thing that he's been doing in there and stuff. And it's a big part of the success. And you can't rely just on the stars to score all the goals, right? So supporting cast, that's what helps you win games. And now a penalty killing gets them all nervous because now they're not comfortable because they know if there's a turnover, they can go and score. And that right there, like momentum swinging, when you talk about the crowd playing a game like this, like you're back in Florida in front of your fans, you want to score the first goal. And a shorthander like that in Florida like this, a first goal, that was it. You break your legs right there.
Let's be honest here for a second. Honesty. When he got that breakaway, I hesitated. I know, me too. I was sitting there watching with my son at home last night, and Brown gets a breakaway, and Marshall jumps up. He's like, I said, sit down, son. Let's not get too good. And then he buries it backhand. Like, it was amazing. Bellsey, that was amazing.
And you're the first guy to jump up, too, after that, right?
Marshall was he was losing his mind. He's like, you're wrong, Daddy. I said, calm down. What are the odds? Like, that was nuts.
No, he's been playing fantastic, and I think guys that are heart and soul guys, when they're scoring goals, it just helps the whole team. It raises the level of the team because everybody knows Connor's going to score. Everybody knows Leon's going to score. But when it's the guys that are not relied upon to score and they're making massive impacts in the game, I just think it helps the entire bench. I mean, you go back to 06 when this big boy here scored. Think about how loud that building was, and now all of a sudden the entire bench is like a little bit bigger because it's guys that haven't necessarily contributed all the time. They're scoring massive goals. Well, that's huge for a bench. How did that feel, George, when you scored that goal?
Yeah, break it down for us.
Yeah, no, it was awesome. But I don't like talking about 06 so much because we lost. We lost Game 7. You know that losing Game 7, it's better not to make the playoff than to lose Game 7.
You'd rather not have any of it, eh?
Like, oh my, to be that close. The Cup's in the building. We won Game 6, 5-0, and we lose Game 7. As a kid, you dream of scoring the winning goal Game 7. Yeah. But you know what? I never liked it. I'm going to say it. That flight that followed us to Carolina with all the family and 40 cases of champagne, that jinxed us. You never do that.
Okay, so it's funny you bring that up because Florida had their family here for Game 4.
Yeah.
Then, obviously, they went back with them. Would you bring them back for Game 6?
No.
Or you say, you know what, we'll handle it on our own?
No, it's a jinx. Because when you do that, what happened, and I'll never forget it, in the dressing room before Game 7, guys started talking about what they were going to do with the Cups. It goes to your head. Yeah. You're not as focused in the game when all the family's there. You want to see them. You're talking to them. You know they're there. You know the champagne is there. So you're focused not 100% on the game when the family's there because you know they're here. As if they're not there, it's different. You just focus on the game itself. So I would never carry a family like that and stuff because it's a distraction. And it's so hard to win in this league. You're in a playoff now, and little things like this, like, you have the kids, maybe the kids are sick, something happened, he wants to talk to daddy. You're not as focused at the game when you know the whole family's there, winning as if you were to win. And then the family will talk about what we're going to do if we win and some of the stuff. The kids will talk about it. So you see, your mindset is not there. And once the game starts, sometimes it could affect some of your decision, right? So that's why I don't agree with doing that. But I hope they're going to do it again.
I was just going to say shit. I hope Daryl Cates says, I'll pay for the flight.
Yeah,
bring the Florida family over here.
Yeah. It's funny you say that because when I played in Minnesota and we were in the playoffs against Anaheim when they won, Jacques Lemaire didn't let us see our families. So it was home games. No, you guys are going straight to the hotel. I don't care. You were
home games even.
Home games. It was you guys have to be in the hotel because he didn't want people to get distracted for exact same reasons that you're talking about. So it's something.
Did it work?
It's real. No, we got Kenny Johnson's head got knocked off by Brad May, and then that was a.
That was the end of it. Early in this series, everybody was talking about Sergei Bobrovsky, rightfully so. Basically stole Game 1, was really good in Game 3. But Tommy, how much should people be like? So we launched Edmonton Sports Talk in September. And for the last 10 months, we've seen people, for lack of a better term, shit on Stuart Skinner over and over and over again. And I just feel like this is the point now. The last 2 games he's played, outside of McDavid, I think he's been their best player in the entire Stanley Cup final.
Yeah.
It's time to just realize that you could win a Stanley Cup with Stuart Skinner. Like,
absolutely. I mean, some smart guys on a new station called Edmonton Sports Talk might have told you that going into the season. I don't know. Don't really remember. But the thing is, not bad for a guy in his second full season in net for the Oilers. And I think there's more confidence in him now. But I will say this, again, it's hard to appease everybody in oil country. We had people after Game 3 texting into the post-game show saying, why isn't Skinner more mad? this is why you're never going to win with him in the NHL, is because he's not more upset about losing that game. So it's a tough battle for some people, but he came back with his best game of the year probably in Game 4, followed it up with a really good performance the other night, and I think now people are starting to trust him, but it's incredible. Like, people were actually upset that he wasn't breaking stuff in his interview or swearing or being more upset. He's a very calm, cool, and collected, mature 25-year-old. And you're right. It's nice to see people kind of trusting him for a guy who, again, is in his second full NHL season.
The one thing I'll add to that is for people that were mad because, as you said, he wasn't breaking thing, one of the best goalie in our era in the NHL was Carey Price. And Carey Price was always calm, and he never broke anything. So the fact that a goalie's calm is okay. Doesn't mean because he's not breaking anything that he's not good. And also, it's not his fault if he's been put into a position that early to be number one. That was supposed to be Jack Campbell. And it didn't work out, and he came in too quick. So Skinner did a pretty good job with the fact that the others were in no position to get another goalie. There's no room in the cap. So a goalie is a position that takes years to mature. So at the age that he's at, he's doing pretty good. He was part of the big run to help the others to be back in the playoff pictures. And then, in a playoff, he has up and down. It's okay. But again, he didn't ask to be put in that position. I think he's doing okay. Yes, Bobrovsky was supposed to be better. Last 2 games, he did better than him. So, against Dallas, Ottinger was better than him, and then he did better than him the last couple of games. So, now, things turned around, I think. And I don't think Bobrovsky is going to do better than him now for the next 2 games, especially not the game Friday. And then we'll see what happened in Florida.
Well, speaking of Bobrovsky, Bellsey, let me throw it to you on Bobrovsky because he got shelled, he got pulled in Game 4. They led in that third goal from McDavid in that last game along the ice. He kind of stood there and it went in. They've clearly got to him here, right?
Oh, I definitely think that. I mean, look at the way that they're scoring goals now. It's coming every different way. But one of the things that they've definitely adjusted is there's more guys in the crease than ever. First couple of games, a lot of stuff was perimeter. And, a goaltender like Bobrovsky, well, if he's set, he's stopping all of that. And so now it's, okay, well, they're a little bit more patient. They've got guys in front of the net. They're shooting, Connor McDavid's goal that he scored yesterday where he just shot it in between his 5-hole from the side. But there's guys going to the net with purpose, and it creates a little bit of distraction. There's like flashing screens in front, and when there's bodies everywhere, it's hard for goalies to lock in 100% on that shot every single time. So I definitely think that they've gotten to him.
What's interesting about that goal, we talked about it earlier on our station, is McDavid was asked about that goal yesterday, and he actually started off his answer of saying, I don't want to give away too much. So clearly there's a read and a scout on something Bobrovsky's doing. And then as we were talking about it today, Bellsey, Joaquin Gage, former Oilers goalie, texted us, and he goes, hey, there was a flyby by Zach Hyman.
Yep.
That's the traffic going by. And then Bobrovsky maybe gets caught for that second. A guy like McDavid, who's just dialed in, sees that little opening and then just casually flips it in there, and we're talking about a big Oilers lead. Like, it was incredible, all those things happening at once, but I think that there was some strategy behind it.
Well, you've got the goaltenders that do the reverse VH, and that is controversial in itself because everybody's going there and it's saying that goaltenders are going down earlier than ever. But we've seen over the course of the season that McDavid just goes off the mask and in, or he goes short side shelf. Yeah. And so Bobrovsky stands up and he tries to play it a different way, but he leaves that 5-hole wide open. And so for a guy like Connor, like, he's just going to pick you apart. And I think that is starting to play into it because now it's like, well, Connor's feeling it. What am I supposed to do? And then now you've got traffic, and it's hard to stop.
I think we talked about this today on the Oil Stream, which is a show Tom and I do Monday, Wednesdays, Fridays from 12 to 1 on Edmonton Sports Talk. And that was, like, they were down 3-0. Nobody's done it since 42 to come back. Yeah. He's already broke one of Wayne Gretzky's records. There's a chance he'll break another if they get through 7. Needs 5 more points or whatever. Yep. George, I don't know. Like, if the Oilers come back and win the Stanley Cup, and he breaks all these records, like, and he could add a few more cups to this, but I think this might be the most impressive accomplishment he could ever accomplish in his entire career.
Well, first of all, win or lose, he's get the Conn Smythe already. There's no debate about that. And, we compare it to Wayne, his numbers. Back then, goalies couldn't stop a puck. Today, it's amazing. Like, the goalie, like how good they are now, the trap and all that stuff. It's so much harder to score right now. And what he's doing right now, just that pass, and 2 minutes on the ice, another 15 seconds, and he goes through a couple defenders to pass it to Corey Perry. Yeah. You see stuff like that. You're like, how do you do that?
It looks like he should be in a different league.
Yeah,
he looks like there should be another league for Connor McDavid.
It is incredible, and that's why yes, 500 points the last 3 years if you include the playoff. That's crazy. Yeah. And there's still people out there debating that, he's not good until he wins a cup. They don't understand hockey. That guy, as whether they win or not, you can never criticize what he's doing for this team because he pours it and give everything that he has. It's just incredible.
If he wins, like George said, the Conn Smythe Trophy, win or lose, if he wins it while they lose in Game 6, which is possible, talking to Steve Wino today, who votes on the Conn Smythe Trophy, and he said a lot of the other media are saying that McDavid is starting to become the front runner for the Conn Smythe. It would be the first time since 1976 when Reggie Leach did it. I think the Flyers got swept in 76.
Yeah, the last skater did it. They got swept by the Habs in 76.
Yeah.
A couple goalies, Ron Hextall, J.S. Jaguar.
But those were Game 7s.
And they were goalies.
And they were goalies, yeah, exactly. That in itself is ridiculously crazy.
With that being said, if they lose, presenting Connor McDavid the Conn Smythe, he won't be too fired up about that.
He's not touching that.
You see Reggie Leach. Just Jean-Sébastien Giguère did it.
Yeah, but this was without going to a Game 7.
Oh, okay.
And a goalie.
And
Reggie
two
Leach
goalies,
is the only skater to ever
Yes.
win it in a losing effort.
Yeah.
And they got swept.
They
so
got
all
swept
this
that
makes
year,
it crazier that the Florida Panthers reporter said that he was overrated.
Yeah, well, we don't need to get into that idiot. I mean, that's just an all-time bad
Did you not hear that?
It was brutal.
Yeah,
right before the season started, he said, McDavid's overrated.
Whoa.
Yeah. Yeah, get your hands on that guy, George. That'd be pretty good. Speaking of getting your hands on a guy, what would you do to Matthew Tkachuk right now? I've been wanting to ask you this question for a while.
Well, first of all, I would laugh at him because I would say you try to do the Mark Messier prediction that you're going to win Game 5 and you lose. So you're not Mess, so shut up. You know what? And he's flopping on the ice and stuff. I'd say stay the same way. It's okay. He played one game in his final.
Yeah, that was his best game. The last game by far was his best game.
Games?
He was nowhere, yeah.
I'm not worried about him. No.
So you just let him go. Let him continue his thing.
He's not a factor.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's good.
Okay, but give us a real answer. Because if he was playing back in your era, he probably is not doing all the things that he's doing today. So when he punches Connor McDavid in the face 5 times, you knew somebody on the bench was probably like, kill him. Yeah. You know that's true.
No, but you're right. You would have never, ever did that back in our era. But when he grabbed him and stuff, he started punching him. I was looking at this, and I wanted to jump on the ice. Yeah. I was so
that would have been
mad,
awesome if I think Georges Laraque climbing the glass right now.
Actually, you know what? And I'll be honest, what I'm saying here, I was very disappointed how we reacted to that.
Yeah.
The best player, the Conn Smythe winner, the best player of the franchise in history is getting punched in the face by Tkachuk, and there's no response. You have to respond to it. That to me was so wrong to see that. You could have got hurt. What if you get a concussion? What if you can't let that happen? Because when you let that happen, people are watching this. Oh, you could take liberty with him. Nobody does anything. It doesn't matter. No, that was wrong. So it happened a couple times this year where I thought that some guys got abused a bit when there was no response. And a tight team, doesn't matter that it's Tkachuk, doesn't matter whether you're tough or not, you jump in.
If you are watching on YouTube right now, you can hit us up in the YouTube chat. We can see some of your questions. If you're actually here right now, you can text us. Tommy, you got your phone, right? You can text us at 780-218-9999. That's 780-218 Glenn Anderson, Glenn Anderson, Glenn Anderson, Glenn Anderson. And Tommy can get to some of your text messages, and we can do that.
I've got one right here. It says, Can you ask Georges and Bellsey, people always expect NHL players to be perfect, but how do they compete when not sick enough to sit out or injured enough to sit out? Is there conversations before games, or if you fear losing a spot, do you hide or mask it?
Okay, so it depends. It depends your status.
Right.
It depends. Some guys that are in and out of the lineup, they're gonna mask it because they know that if somebody takes their spot, they could lose it and never come back.
Right.
As if you're a superstar, a guy that whether you're out because you're really hurt, you're gonna get back in as soon as you're healthy. So it really depends who you are. So that in the NFL is the same thing. Some stars players, they don't mind. Some guys that are in the bubble, won't say anything because it could be their job. So it really depends.
Yeah, I would say regular season guys definitely do that. Playoffs, everybody wants to play, and so they're not going to say what injuries they have. And if they do have injuries, well, I mean, we don't really need to discuss what happens behind the scenes there. But guys want to play, and that's what it is. And you see guys battle through all sorts of injuries.
Keep those texts coming, 780.
Yeah, we got a couple on YouTube as well. Matt wants to hear you call. George, this is for you. He wants to hear you call Matthew Tkachuk a turtle. Can you call him a turtle?
No, because the turtle's braver.
Also, this Adam guy asked a question in French that I can't read, so I don't know what's he say there. Come on, est-ce que George?
Oh, he's asking me how do I see the crowd in Game 6.
Okay, all right. What do you think?
I think that a Manson guy should go and come and fix the roof because it's going to blow up.
It's going to blow off, isn't it? Like
120 the noise. I think it'll be the loudest ever.
Didn't it hit 118 last game?
118, I think, is what it got to, which is
I think
insane.
120 at least.
120.
Well, Tommy, weren't you at Hudson? You were at Hudson's. We do our
Bourbon
pre and
Street.
post game at Hudson's.
Yeah.
And what they say there was like 111 or
It
something?
hit 111 inside Hudson's Bourbon
the mall.
Street at the mall, and like people had to wear earplugs because it was that loud. So and then that's in a little spot inside a bunker in West Edmonton Mall on Bourbon Street. So that was impressive. I got one here from Bones in the crowd.
Ah, there he is, Bones.
Two-parter. What is bigger, Tommy? Bell's thigh or your waist? You're 32.
Bellsey's thigh is definitely bigger than your waist, but
I'm a 32 waist. So
I'm a 32 thigh.
yeah.
God, that's, I don't know if that's awesome or sad. I don't know.
What? I'm a very trim fit European physique.
Yeah, that's sure, I guess.
Yeah, I guess.
So the story goes, we were at Modern Measure, which is a sponsor of myself and Tom's show.
Which is Hello Hockey every Saturday.
Yeah.
Saturday, yeah. So we go and get measured, and all of a sudden they're running the measurements on me, and Richie's kind of like, we got a 32-inch thigh. And Tom looks, he's like, that's my waist size.
And then Richie's like, Bellsey, you're like NFL and CFL players. You're built like them. So.
George would take a run, though.
Oh, yeah.
That's actually my third leg side.
Did you say what I think you said?
you
Is
did.
that what
You
it was?
definitely did.
My God. I like Bellsey going to Modern Measure, though, and the boys being like, they're telling other people, like, hey, man, you got to come down. We got a 32-inch
We got a 32.
thigh. You're like,
Apparently
like,
George got a 32 third, so that's wild.
Bones, okay. Now that we got that out of the way and cleared up.
that was not on the
that's
script
an
tonight.
icebreaker
Just
for
throwing it
sure.
out there.
Georges, can you describe your hat trick game against the Kings and then the call from Wayne after?
Yeah, no, it's first of all, I always say a George hat-trick, you got to have a fight also into that game. So I had one,
Yes.
and I remember against LA in Edmonton, I had 2 goals and a fight. There was a minute left in the game, and the crowd was chanting my name to go on there because it was an empty netter. And Kevin Lowe gave me a tap in the back, said, sorry, George, I got to put the defensive unit out there. So I was like, shit, that was my chance to get a hat trick. So Yanni Nima scored an empty netter. There's 25 seconds left in the game, so he puts back the fourth line back out there. And I don't know why, like we dumped the puck in offensive zone, and Jim Dahl gets the puck, gives me the pass, and I'm in the top of the circle. Aki Berg's in front of me. I do a Denis Savard spinorama and a backhand on Stéphane Fizet, which I've never been able to do a spinorama ever with the puck. And when I scored, I couldn't believe it because the goalie's back in the net. There's 25 seconds left. What are the odds that I score a third goal, right? So I skated back to the bench as fast as Connor ever did, and I just couldn't believe it. And then, guys, even bench couldn't believe it because the game was supposed to be done, right? And Wayne called me in dressing room and he said, George, 49 more to break my record. But still, just the fact that he called to say congratulations, it was amazing.
What did
I'll never
Kevin
forget
say
it.
when you went back to bench? What did Lowe say when you went back over there?
Well, people were just, oh my God, they couldn't believe it. Just because when there's 25 seconds left, there's 5-3, the game is done, right? And you go and do that, like that was just in the sky. It was just meant to be,
I think they're more surprised that you spun like Denis Savard because normally you turn like a battleship. So
Yes, I agree. I do agree. That's right.
This has been a great atmosphere. Game 6 is going to be just insane downtown and all across the city. But go back to like, what was that like as a play? We know what it was like as fans. I was living in Lethbridge, working at a radio station at the time. My sister was living just off White at the time. She was saying it was just bloody madness there. What was it like as a player during that run?
Well, the city, everything was magic because we finished 8th. We weren't supposed to make the playoff. We did. We got Detroit first round. We're supposed to be out in 4 games. And then we grabbed the octopus when they turned on the ice. We broke that curse, and then we beat them. And after beating Detroit, we're like, oh, my God, we have a chance. We beat Anaheim in 5 to make it to the Stanley Cup final. And again, playing Carolina, of all teams, if Dwayne Wilson doesn't get hurt, we win the cup for sure. Because that's another thing that happened. When our goalie that was going to win the Conn Smythe got hurt, we thought we were done. Because when he got hurt, Conklin went in the net. They did that mistake behind the net. And it cost us the game. We were back in the room. I'll never forget it. And even though it wasn't his fault, Rolson wanted to kill Marc-Andre Bergeron. No, he was so upset because his knee was done, right? So there's a big doubt in our mind. We're done. But Markkanen did a good enough job that we came back from 3-1 to 3-3. And game 6, 5-0. And we thought, you know what? Age caught up to them. They were an older team. But then we lost. So...
Well, we can end the story there, George. That's okay.
We did.
Don't need to go any further there.
Yeah, it was not good.
The Oilers have a chance to win the cup again this year. Everybody, round of applause. That'd be that would be outstanding. I think people would really like that. It'd be interesting to see what ends up playing out in Game 6. Bellsey, do you think there's any way they lose in Game 6 at home? I mean,
it'll be tough.
Yeah.
It's tough. You've got McDavid feeling it. The crowd is going to be electric. I mean, I don't think people understand what that does for a player when you skate on the ice and you hear that crowd. Like with the home team, the Oilers, like you skate out and you're like, okay, there's no way I'm getting stopped today. Like we do not want this crowd to stop cheering.
How's that work? Is that more motivating for the home team or intimidating for the road team? What do you guys think?
When the noise is like this, what happened is guys that are not usually hitting are hitting because they want that noise to keep going. Everybody are doing extra thing to keep that noise going, that momentum going, because it's almost like they all become Superman, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And everybody's like flying, and the other team knows that with that noise, guys are like better, they skate faster than they ever do, right? Because they give them so much energy. That's why the crowd makes a big difference. So it's not the noise intimidating the other team, it's just the way we play with that noise that intimidates them. And that's why often they try to get the first goal to shut up the sound, so then it kind of stopped that momentum.
That's a Connor Brown goal.
Yeah,
right. Short-handed goal, just an absolute killer for the Florida Panthers and their crowd. Like
I would say, it wouldn't intimidate in the NHL as much. Like it's a different fan base than what you would have in the NFL. The NFL, like there's some intimidating places to go, but here in the NHL, like as a home, like on the home team, you just feel the energy. And like George mentioned, like you've got way more energy. You're skating faster. You're trying to hit harder. Like it's just that first 10 minutes. There's some days where if you're a visiting team, you're like, what just happened? Like, is this a Soviet Red Army coming at me? And that's honestly how it feels, because you just get caught in this wave. And it's like shift after shift after shift. And it's a guy that doesn't hit ever. He just blew me up and he put me in the 15th row. And you're like, okay, this is going to be a long, long game. And that's what that home crowd does, especially when it's so exciting and electric.
I think the key moment to this cup run, or however it works out, probably yet to come. But Tommy, what would you say has been the biggest moment of this playoff run for the Oilers so far? Like, if they were going to put something on the cover, this is a horrible reference. Going to say put something on the cover of a DVD, for goodness sakes.
Oh,
but,
gross!
like,
Go away.
On the thumbnail on YouTube, what would the moment be? Do you think up there?
That's a good question.
So many.
Yeah, there's been a lot of them. Like, what happened against Dallas? The Vancouver comeback. That was magical,
that was
but
big.
you got to pick a spot there.
I think that Stuart Skinner save 2 games ago.
Yeah, the glove save by Skinner.
That was unreal.
One of the McDavid, like that ridiculous goal that Corey Perry scored after a brilliant play by McDavid. Like Georges says, he danced around 3 guys in a phone booth. 4 guys in a phone booth. Thank you. And then made just an absolutely brilliant play to Perry. And Perry's look to McDavid after that play was just like, are you serious, kid? And it was ridiculous. So I think that's one of them. And there might be a couple more created. That's the other thing,
I know,
too.
His goal against Enskanen.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that's when he turned on the dime like that.
unbelievable.
Yeah, that was ridiculous too. Bellsey, I know it's kind of putting you on the spot here, but what stands out for you?
That's a good question. I think there's a few from the LA series where it was just like running up the score. They're doing things that like LA didn't.
Remember
have a chance.
Draisaitl to seal the series?
Yes.
And he spun and he kind of gave the fist bump, like things like that, right? Like,
100%. There's a couple in the Dallas series as well. I was in the stands for most of the Dallas series, so I couldn't tell you because I was probably had a few in me. But no, there's lots of different moments, and what a run! What a special run!
See, mine is completely different. I would have never thought that we'd had a team that would kill 28 penalties in a row like this.
Yeah, like you would never thought that. Yeah.
A penalty killing has been the best, and that makes a huge difference in playoff and special team. And that was, the power play against Vancouver and the other team was okay, but our killing, the way we're killing penalties now, and the threat we have to even go and score, is incredible. And that, to me, is the biggest story. And you have to give a lot of credit to Paul Coffey, an offensive defenseman that, look at a defenseman. Like, not that I want to take anything away from them, but we don't have the best defenseman back there. And the job that they're doing with Coffey and with the killing and everything is incredible. Because after we win this cup and you look our backhand, the Ds that we have, and we won it with this, it's going to be remarkable.
I like that you bring up Paul Coffey because I think of one moment that stands out in my head, and I'm weird like this, but when they won against Dallas to clinch their spot in the Stanley Cup final and they're taking the picture with the Clarence Campbell Bowl, if you look at the wide angle of the shot, Paul Coffey's like 5 feet away from the next closest player, and he's got his hands in his pocket, and he's just staring at the camera like he doesn't give two you-know-whats about winning, which is incredible. So when you're talking about like getting your mind in the right place, I'm like, maybe that's where Paul Coffey says, you guys haven't won crap yet. Get your head out of the gutter and start focusing. Like that's where I feel like he really could help them in a moment like this as well.
Well, they've had guys around the locker room as well. Like Duncan Keith was in the locker room recently, and he's shared his experiences across his career. So like they've got really good guys in the locker room or around the locker room that consistently can say, hey guys, like you haven't done anything yet. I understand that you're down 3, but here's what we did when we were in Chicago. And obviously Paul Coffey's got lots of stories like that. So I think they've just got a good group, a great staff around them that has done a really good job to help focus them. And then you've got the guy that worked with Kobe Bryant. He's around.
Yeah, he's
George
around the mental
Mumford.
coach.
Yeah.
So
he's
been great.
Nice guy, very very quiet guy. You just say hello to him when he's passing by. But yeah,
So it's that mental performance side of the game where they're excelling at it right now. It's actually pretty special to see because this is the same team that there's certain moments. If you would go back to last year, they lose some of these games, and we talked about that.
100%.
Yeah. Like the game yesterday, they probably would have lost that last year. But this year, it's just a different team. They are battle tested. They bend. They don't break, which is a cliche, but it's 100% true. And it's great to see because that's how you win Stanley Cups.
Honesty check again for a second, though. When it was 4-3 yesterday, a little nervous. Hey, George, come on.
I almost had a heart attack.
When that puck bounced past Bennett's stick in behind the net, you're like, oh, thank God.
Yeah, no, and even when we hit Jan-Mark hit the post, like just missed the open netter, and it went the other way around, I was like, this is it. They're going back and score, right? I was so nervous. It's funny because the beginning of the game, we're cruising. It's so good. It's awesome.
Yeah,
and the third was too exciting.
Yeah, what are you looking at, Bellsey?
Jared from Modern Measure said, George, come see us. We want to see your thighs.
He wants to measure your thighs and other things. Interesting.
Tell him that. Don't swing that way.
Yeah. Those guys are great.
He's listening.
Bones wants to know how many alumni will be in the rink on Friday, and it's fun to see all of these guys from different generations and eras coming in. Who's in the alumni room taking advantage of the free beverages?
I know that Emsky and Andy Moog is coming.
Nice.
And I hope Andy Moog gets a warm welcome because, he's been through cancer. So you'll get a warm welcome from the crowds. I'm sure he will be there. You'll be there.
I should be, hopefully.
Yeah, so a lot of people probably will be there and stuff.
What I really want to know is who's going to be the first Oiler alumni to smash a beer. Like, just chug the whole thing. Because that will get
they got to bring
120.
Yanni Nienema back for that.
Right?
Yanni
I thought it was
Nienema
going to
would
be
do that
George
for
a couple.
sure.
Actually,
I
we
don't
were
like
with
beer.
Jason Smith.
I don't like the taste of beer.
We were with Gator, and I thought he was going to do it. I thought he was going to be the guy to do it, but he didn't. He was like, just gave it the way.
I'm at the game with my kids, and I would never do that. That's That would be bad example to show them.
Somebody's got to do it.
I won't do it ever.
Go ahead, Tommy.
Yeah, we've got a good one here. It says, ask George and Sean, considering we're raising money for kids to play sports, yes, absolutely, what it was like when they were kids. Did they need support from anyone, or could their families help afford to get them into sports?
For me, yeah, we needed help. It was hockey is obviously an expensive sport, and my parents moved from Guyana and Barbados to Montreal, then to here. So we were kind of going through it. Obviously, my parents had a bunch of different jobs. They were separated at the time, but we needed definitely help from different people. Eric Morissette being one of them, who's a coach from the area. So I definitely needed help when I was growing up.
And then when you got to Bantam, you absolutely destroyed me, as well as like Dion Phaneuf. And everybody just bounced off him. You're that good, so that was a huge boost.
Tommy's a tough guy to destroy, eh? Can't you tell?
Yeah. You know, my story is a little different. My parents came from Haiti, and they didn't want me to play hockey. So at 7 years old, when they didn't want me to play anymore because of racism and how the equipment was too expensive. So I told them I was going to do it on my own. So I would shovel people's driveway, cut people's grass to buy used hockey gears, and I did it on my own. I would go to the rink on my bicycle in the winter, and I was totally alone. And no support, nothing. And when I made it to the NHL, my dad said that our son give us a lesson because we weren't there for him. He did it alone. So I had no foundation, I had no one to help me. I did it alone. And that's why I always tell people that, you know, when you have a dream, you want to achieve something, you could do anything you want. You know, so often we listen to people that you can't, too expensive, you listen to your friend, your parent, anyone. If I did that with parents that were born in Haiti, that didn't support me, that didn't take me to the game, and I was 7 years old, and I told them I was going to play in the NHL, anyone in this room, what could you say that you can't do, right? So yeah, you can achieve anything.
Round
you
of
want.
applause right there, man. That's a great story. That's an absolutely amazing story. Let's stay on childhood for a little bit because many of you, whether you played professional sports or not, we all played sports growing up. You always got one piece of equipment along the way that you just cherish forever. Tommy, what was there one that your parents surprised you with something, or was there something you really wanted, or was?
Yeah, I really like Doug Weight. I watched the Oilers growing up, obviously.
You still love Doug Weight.
Now I got to know him, so I'm like, Doug, and he's like, oh, this guy again. But I swear we're best friends. But I think he had CCM gloves, like the old, really nice, clean throwback CCMs, and they were leather. And I was playing for the Northeast Zone Eagles at the time. Our colors were blue. We're the Rangers colors. So I always thought, I'm like, oh, I have black gloves, I have black socks, or black pants and a black helmet. I'm like, I want to match like my team and have like a blue helmet and blue gloves. So I end up saving my money. My parents were doing fine enough that I didn't need to get help, but I was paying for my own helmet. I went and got my own blue Cooper helmet, right? And then I was like, I really want to look sweet out there. I want these blue CCM gloves. And I begged my parents for them forever. They're like, you have 2 other brothers that need equipment too. And I'm like, come on, you guys, give me these damn gloves. And sure enough, at Christmas, I got them. And
yes!
They were the best gloves ever. I got even better at hockey. So I went from okay to slightly moderately okay. But that was the best. And I loved those babies so much. And the day that the first tears went in the palms, I was heartbroken. But they lasted 2 or 3 years, but they were so nice. They're nice blue leather gloves. I felt like a pro out there.
Bellsey, what are you, buddy?
Not like that. I didn't really care too much about what I was using, but the first time I ever was like, oh, this is sweet. I got drafted by Regina. I went to Regina. I went to their camp, came back, and they gave me my first ever custom sticks.
Oh, like a bunch of them?
Yeah, a bunch of them.
Nice.
There was 12, and they were. It was right before there was the sticks that we have now, and it was a wood but with composite on both sides.
Okay.
It was still super heavy, but I felt like the best player in the world. And some days I'd feel that because I'd skate by Tommy going backwards. But
You didn't even know I was there.
but that was probably the first piece of equipment where I'm like, that's pretty cool. It felt special. It felt like you had tried to accomplish something because your name is on your stick and it's just for you. And it's those moments as a young player moving up, those are pretty special.
What are you, man?
Me, since, as I told you guys in my story as a kid, I played with a wood stick and I put so much tape because my stick was always cracked. So my first stick that was able to buy, you know those mirror stick that Wayne had? Oh. I felt like almost like you had a Ferrari. Having a stick like that, to me, it was. I've never had a graphite stick like this, like a two-piece stick. I was playing with wood stick that was always broken, right? So to have a stick like this, to me, all the money that I saved, it cost me so much, but I was so happy to have the stick that Wayne was playing with. So, and I kept it for a long time. It was just amazing to me because I've never even thought that I would be able to afford something like this. So to me, it was special.
I remember I was a goalie from like 8 to 16, and I was a huge Patrick Waugh fan. And my parents, we grew up on a farm. They didn't have like a ton of money. They would have had to have taken out a loan to get this stuff. But one day after school, they picked me up and they opened up the trunk of the car, and there was a Coho blocker and catcher, like the same one that Patrick Waugh used, and an iTech. I'd been wearing like a regular mask and an iTech goalie mask. Now this iTech mask back then weighed like 40 pounds. I put it on my head and it was like bobbling like this. And then I didn't like touching my eyes like with contacts, so my dad had to cut like things in the edge so I could wear my glasses inside this high-tech mask. It was the worst, and I don't know how much they paid for the Coho blocker and catcher, but it was a waste of money because I was awful. But I felt like I'll never forget that day. They opened up the trunk and I was like, first of all, I thought maybe it'd be a dead body. Nobody opens up a trunk and I'd be like, check this out. But it was that was amazing. But that was something that my parents, I know they had to sacrifice to like do that, or probably put it on layaway for like 2 years. But that was amazing. That was absolutely amazing. So yeah, good times. And that's why we're here. Obviously, Bits for Kids. Are you ready to get going again, Mark? Okay. Yeah, if you want to check out Edmonton Sports Talk, edmontonsportstalk.com. We're on iHeart Radio, TuneIn Radio, YouTube. Everything's podcast as well. George, thanks for joining us tonight, man. That was a lot of fun. Round of applause for the crew. Check us out if you've been watching on YouTube. Thank you very much. And we'll be back live tomorrow morning at 6.